Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel where I dive deep into influencer and social media culture and call them out for their crappy behaviors. I'm Sasha, and today we are going to be doing an Abbey Fickley update because recently her ex has spoken out, and apparently it was a really good and very telling interview. And also, her response following this interview is very telling. So we are going to go ahead and take a look at the interview itself, and then we are also going to take a look at what Reddit has to say. We got a lot to talk about, so let's go, guys. So before we start, I do want to have a little chat. My channel here isn't about snarking on influencers or anything like that. It's truly about accountability. It's about calling out mean, crappy, dangerous behaviors that we witness online and holding influencers at a higher standard because they have influence over people. They need to be held at a higher standard, and it's something that's just not happening in today's day and age. But I've been getting a lot of comments recently saying you're just bullying, or you don't need to be mean, or you don't need this. People who people who comment on how other people live their lives are blah, 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 whatever they have to say. And also I've had people come and say, well, I've never seen this person before, you popped up, so now I know, and you're just making them more popular. Now, I have said in the past, but I kind of slowed down saying it, but don't go touch the poo, guys. Anyone we talk about here, it's not to send hate their way. I tell you guys all the time, just ghost. That is the best way to get these people to be held accountable, because otherwise they're going to just keep going. Look at Matt and Abby. They left their toddlers alone on a cruise ship, and Matt is constantly just being a terrible husband and saying really terrible things to Abby, but they keep going and they get away with it because people keep watching, be it hate watching or just their super delusional supportive fans. Who knows? Regardless, anyone we talk about here, it's meant to try and change the behaviors, get their attention and be like, look, this isn't okay. Be it take your kids offline, or stop faking illnesses because you're making a mockery of the disabled community, or stop exploiting your children's every medical issue because it's not fair and they can't consent to that. I forgot to put on lip gloss. So I really just wanted to take a second and remind everyone, don't send these influencers hate. It's not about that. It's about trying to change the behaviors and also making people aware, just the regular consumers of social media, you, me, all of us, aware of the harms that posting certain things online can have. That's my ultimate goal with this channel, and always has been. Have there been times where I've pushed the snark a little too far? Yeah, there have. And I've dialed back on that, and I've admitted when I've taken things too far. I've cut it from the video. I've apologized. If I get called out and feel as though, you know what, yeah, you're right, maybe that was a little too far. It's taking accountability for your actions, for what you say. I've also come out and given credit where credit's due. Like Abby, I gave her credit for taking her kid offline, only to come and find out that she's still very much exploiting her daughter and posting her online. So that's why we've ended up back in this situation talking about her again. And now that Bobby's spoken out, we need to see what he has to say. He has the inside knowledge. I really just wanted to open with that and just remind everyone, don't go touch the pool. What? Pool? No, don't go touch the poo, please, in the wise words of the iconic Cece Suarez. Just don't do it. Just ghost, ignore, and for the love of goodness sake, don't send any hate their way, because at the end of the day, they're human, just like us. We can not like their actions, we can not like their behaviors, we cannot like them as a person, but nobody deserves hate or death threats or any of this ridiculousness that a lot of influencers claim they have constantly. That stuff is too far. That is parasocial in a very toxic, negative way. And you might think that you're doing good doing stuff like that, but you're not. You end up diluting your argument, and the people calling out the influencers for the harmful behaviors end up getting just labeled in and lumped in as a bunch of bullies because, well, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? The loudest people, the people who are the most mean, are going to get the most attention, and that's not necessarily what we want. And I know it's not you guys. I know it's not you guys doing this, but in general, because I have been getting quite a few stands in my comments lately, and it's just like, okay, guys, okay, I get it, but like it's not about that. It's about changing the behaviors. With all that being said, who is Abbey Fickley? Abbey Fickley is a social media influencer, and she claimed her rise to fame by being a single mother, sober bartender, sober single mother, I don't know, something like that. She came out of rehab, got a job in a bar, and her video of her pouring Guinness went viral. Thus, the Abbey Fickley platform was born. Now on TikTok, and I believe Bobbi mentions this a little bit, their daughter was in about 40% of the videos. It was really focused mainly on Abbey, which we don't have a problem with, right? If you're a mom, your kids exist. We can't expect moms to just pretend like their kids don't exist. However, when she transferred over to YouTube, her daughter was featured in up to 80% of content. I'd say that's being a little conservative even, because it was mainly her. That's when the virality really started to explode, and when Abbey gained a ton of subscribers. And you can see the dip in views and subscribers since she's been court-ordered to take offline. That's basically a backstory on Abbey. The exploitation was gross. She's allowing her toddler? What? She's allowing her daughter to just be raised in a not so nice fashion. It's really this like free reign parenting, gentle parenting, which isn't gentle parenting, which I think needs to be a whole topic in itself, because there are so many people that have taken gentle parenting, especially influencers, and it's free reign parenting. It's not actually gentle parenting, and they've completely lost the plot. So, but that's a side note. Abbey has really tried to make her little bestie, and it's just not, guys, there's so much. Let's just take a listen to what he has to say, because I'm really curious and want to hear it. I read a nice little summary that someone posted on Reddit, so like props to you for taking those notes and doing that. Appreciate it. So let's go. I do have this sped up for people who speed up my videos.
Okay, so Abbey posted this video and it had a lot of people pissed off. Okay, so watch this.
Oh, okay. So this is actually the video that I came across. It's a lot like Rachel Hughes with her daughter, and just completely letting these kids walk all over them and be so rude and disrespectful. I haven't watched this video yet because I wanted to watch it with you guys. So look, it's like a watch inception right now.
Have kids, they say. You should have kids. They're such a joy. Don't have kids. Me and my 10-year-old daughter.
No, you shouldn't have kids. You suck at this.
We're just messing around because she wanted one of her daily multivitamins, because it's this sugar-coated gummy worm, and the kid will do anything for candy. And the way she...
Why are you talking about her like that? Like you want to fight her or something? It's really weird, right? When these women get on here, and men too. I mean, I've actually never seen a guy do this and talk shit about their kid on camera, but I'm sure it happens. But why are you talking shit about your 10-year-old to a million people on the internet? Like, are you out of your damn mind?
Yeah,
That's
right?
where she goes, and you know what else you need to do?
Even if that is true, I wonder where that learned behavior comes from. Off.
This girl, who are you talking to? So I went over and I'm tickling her. I'm like, tell me, what else do I need to do? What else does your mother need to do? You know, teasing her.
You should get those things fixed. That's what you need to do.
She grabs my wrist.
Okay, so she's teasing her, but she is teasing her in an aggressive manner. What else? What else do I need to do? Tell me what else I need to do. Like, okay.
And I said, you better watch, girl. You're touching my cortisone cream. She quickly lets go and she goes, ew. I said, what? I have so many bug bites. I had to put some itch cream on them. I said, what do you want me to do? I'm just...
Why are you talking to your child like that? She's not your friend. She's not your bestie. You're her mother. Like, what do you...
This is
weird.
weird.
The reason I talk about Abbey Fickley the way I talk about Abbey Fickley, because I know who she is, okay? And I have family members like this, okay? And you can't get around it. There are people that exist like this. It's just like, ugh.
They're juicy and everybody loves me. And this child, quick with it too. She says, yeah, everybody referring to the guy that I liked, that it didn't work out with. Yeah. The kid got me. I stopped in my tracks. I couldn't even think straight for a second. Shit hurt my feelings. Got me in my feelings. Got me out here on a walk with the dogs. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go walk this one off. I'll get back. Yeah, everybody but... just wait. I was already in my feels today. Anyways, thanks, sister. Twist the...
Not your sister. It's your daughter.
Why don't you? I'd have kids. You should have kids. It's all funny games until you get called out for the situationship that humbled you. I think I'm doing 2 laps around the block tonight.
Oh my... There's so much to unpack there. So yeah, super rude and disrespectful. And the comments were saying the exact same thing. But someone on Reddit actually dug up Abbey say that she would never bring her daughter into her dating life. And this was on a video where she was talking about dating this guy. And that was 4 months ago. So never bring my daughter into my dating life, yet here she is commenting on your dating life. And also in this video, I'm pretty sure, It's confirmed that Em goes online and watches all of Abby's videos and reads the comments about her, which is horrific, first of all, because there are predatory men commenting all sorts of creepy, disgusting things about a child, but she lets her kid go on. So to say, I'd never involve her in my dating life because that's inappropriate while letting her go on and watch all of your videos, you are something else.
Bobby's the same way. They're just unwilling to, whereas the moms generally don't give two shits. Was it the Garza crew came on and she's like outing her whole divorce and everything else because she was wronged and all this? The guy could come out and say whatever he wants, but refuses to because he's like, those are my kids. Not trying to tear down their mother on the internet where it's okay for the women to do it. Abby's done it multiple times against Bobbi, and Bobby's kept his mouth shut. And so if you're coming on this podcast to expect him to like disparage her and throw her under the bus, it's not going to happen.
Which is fantastic, and it really speaks to the difference in character. And I know Bobby isn't perfect. He's made mistakes, but I'm pretty sure he also owns up to his mistakes. Again, credit where credit's due. Maybe he did realize that he was a flop as a social media influencer and wasn't going to make it, so he gave up. But also, he could have just realized that, hey, this isn't worth it. This isn't worth it for my daughter. I'm going to not do this. As things started to heat up and get weird, right? We don't know the goings on in his mind, but the fact that Abby is constantly trashing him and he allegedly was super respectful through this whole thing is just mind-blowing.
This guy really is just offering perspective of, again, a dude who exists in this universe where the child is being exploited, the child is an influencer, the child has fans, and he doesn't. He doesn't exploit her. He's had her on his channel a couple times, and you'll hear in this interview why. And it's really, really great and interesting perspective. Even if you don't want to get on the internet and tell everybody, which would destroy half these people, okay? There are other ways you can do it, and he has been doing it successfully, and this is the interview with Bobbi. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge Podcast. My name is Josh. Thanks for joining. We got a very special guest. I've actually been speaking with my guest here for a little while, kind of shooting shit back and forth about what it's like to be in this scenario. Basically, we talk about the world of child exploitation and influencer culture, and often this is a very women-centric run business, for lack of a better term, or occupation. And oftentimes there are men who sit on the outside who don't have custody or in violent custody and all these kinds of things. And it's a reality we rarely talk about. And we actually have someone on the show today that has lived that reality and has a lot of cool things, important things to say that we should be listening to. And I really appreciate it. So Bobbi, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you.
At the beginning, I want to make sure that we realize that, guys, this isn't going to be a snark fest. We're not talking gossip. This is really just about Bobbi's story, about being a father in this sphere. And I think it's a really, really important conversation. So if you're looking for tea and for drama, it ain't going to be here. So I just wanted to say that right off the top.
Well, thank you for that.
So tell me a little bit about your story, like how it all began and everything like that, just like the origin story of Bobbi and yourself and your daughter.
Yeah, man. So I had my daughter when I was 20 years old, 31 now. Me and Abby, her mother, were together for probably only like 4 months before my daughter was conceived. Abby had her struggles. She went away for a couple years, came back. She's been clean, I think, for 6, 7. She's been doing really well as far as recovery goes. So
you guys were together, and then you had your daughter. And again, I know there's so many people online that think what you think, that she's an amazing kid and everything else, and that's why a lot of people watch. Yeah. So you guys had this kid, and then how long before you guys broke up and all that kind of stuff, and how did that go?
Me and Abby were together. My daughter's mom were together for probably, I would say, a year. So my daughter doesn't really remember or know even both parents being in the household. Whenever me and her split up the first time, she went to California for rehab. My daughter's mom's parents took me to custody. So I've already been through one custody case prior to the one that I'm going through now with mom. That one was synonymous for trench warfare, man. That thing was tough. Anytime you're fighting, I'll say this to any other dad that's going through custody, anytime that you're fighting a pile of money in court, it's an extremely hard battle, man. They'll just file motion after motion after motion to try to drain your funds so you can't defend yourself when it comes to trial.
That's so fucked up to do to someone, especially if you're only doing it as like a power trip, or if you're only like to take someone repeatedly to court to just drain their money so that they can't fight to see their children or protect their children anymore is gross behavior.
It's not. I think it's absolutely unfair. The law system, I know this is a sidebar, but the law system absolutely favors wealthy people, and it always has, and that's just, I don't think it's ever going to change.
The society favors wealthy people. It's insane. Yeah.
Hire better lawyers. You can do whatever you want.
You're middle, lower class, man, and you're fighting somebody that's upper class. You're 9 out of 10 going to get drained on funds.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yeah. So that was probably when my daughter was, I would say, 1 year to 3 years old. And then we were completely fine all the way up until recently with the whole social media. And I'm going to say overexposure of my daughter is what I didn't agree with.
So walk me through that process. So everything's kind of going along. You guys are co-parenting together. It's probably got its ebbs and flows, ups and downs. And she has mentioned that on her social media a lot, that there is ebbs and flows, there are ups and downs. She, and to her credit, she calls it out when it's good and calls it out when it's bad. And, you don't have the same platform. You don't do the same thing. But I think it's oversharing. But when that all started going down, when she started gaining a following, how did that make you feel? And when, and if and when did you realize, okay, this is not going to be safe for my daughter?
So for me personally, I'm a very private person. I get nervous in front of camera. It's hard for me. Sometimes I trip up on my words. Sometimes she'll have to retake the video 4 or 5 times if I make it with her. But in the beginning, it was okay, just because I think that my daughter was in maybe 20-30% of the content or videos that were posted. Once the shift happened to YouTube, and this is just from my experience, if I'm wrong, she can correct me, anybody can correct me, just from what I've noticed, the shift.
See, that too. If I'm wrong, she can correct me, whatever. Like, it's not about that, but I'm pretty sure this is what happened. This was the shift. He's okay being wrong. He's okay with accountability. Wow.
Shift to YouTube and the explosion on YouTube was when I noticed that my daughter would be in 80 to 90% of the videos, and they were also the most viewed videos.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, definitely the most viewed videos on Abby's channel. And again, I will pop it up maybe here, maybe after we can go through it, but you can see the decline in views, the decline in subscribers since taking M offline.
One thing that I noticed was as soon as we were out in public, man, and I had to watch my daughter get flagged down and take pictures, I had to tell families like, no, we can't do pictures, just because I kind of feel uncomfortable of grown adults taking pictures with my daughter. 9 out of 10, if it's a child, it seems harmless and they're just excited they've seen somebody from social media. But I don't want my daughter having to stand next to a random grown man, you know what I mean, to take photos. It makes me a little uncomfortable.
Can you explain a couple times that this happened to you, and like the first time, and how it made you feel?
So, my man, I will be totally honest with you. Every time I go in public and I take my daughter out somewhere, whether it's an amusement park, a swimming pool, an arcade, we have Dave & Buster's around here. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Every time in the car, man, I promise you, I have to ask my daughter, Mila, how do you feel about pictures today? And she either says, oh, it's okay, well, I'll take them, or I tell her you could do it on a case-by-case basis. You know what I mean? If you feel like doing it with some people and you don't, that's okay. But it's from somebody who doesn't live that life.
Every time.
Every single time we go out in public, there's people that ask to take pictures with my daughter. Still to this day, since Abby has, I'm not going to say removed her from the internet, just because I don't believe that she has, but
yeah,
every time we go out in public, man.
Sorry, as a dad who's protective, that also means that you got to have your head on a swivel, because you don't know who's got what intentions. You don't know who's out there stalking your kid, and there could be.
It's a little bit of I'd say a skill that I learned. I'm not going to say 9 out of 10, but more often than not, I could realize who notices my daughter before they approach us. Just because you see them tapping the little kid's shoulder, you see them pointing, or they're like this, they're all excited. It just changes your mindset. Like I don't walk into a room.
She's 11 years old. And every time she leaves her house, she gets approached by men or families or grown women. Who cares? And she's been offline for a year now.
Enjoying the room the same way now, because I have to be cautious of who's watching us, who's coming up to approach us, and how I'm going to interact with these people when they approach us. I don't live that life, man. So it's not something that I asked for. You know what I mean?
That would give me so much anxiety. Oh my gosh. And it's not even people recognizing him, but he is thrown into the crossfire of it.
I don't think, well, to be honest, your daughter hasn't asked for that either. She cannot consent to that happening to her, to being a famous person in the public. Did you see a switch in content with Abby when the daughter started being used more and more and more? Did you see her see that ramp up? Did you have conversations with her early about that? What was starting to kind of give you the heebie-jeebies about it?
It's hard, man, but I always just look at my daughter and Abby as my daughter and Abby. So for a little bit, it was hard to understand because I didn't realize, I guess, how the general public viewed them. But I would notice a difference more or less from the comments. And I think the acknowledgement in public is really, really what made me realize, like, we need to slow down or take a step back from this. And I think another part of it is like my daughter's mental. Like we don't know how a 10-year-old is going to intake and process and internalize all of this. Does this change the way that she looks at people as she grows older? Is she might be better than somebody, or these are lower class people? And I'm not saying that she does, but it's just sometimes you hear celebrities mistreat the common people when they're out in public. You know what I mean? Or they're very dismissive towards these people.
Did you have a conversation early with Abby about when this started ramping up? Like, how did that all go out?
I started looking into it more as we started through court. I had to look into other platforms that were speaking about Abby. I had to talk to loved ones and close ones, you know what I mean, close people, to kind of realize, like, dude, your daughter is being posted in what I can't say mom was doing this intentionally, but in very provocative maybe, or very
salacious ways.
Yeah, salacious maybe is a good word.
I can say this though, the reason why they do that, and I think I agree with you, is that I don't think they have intentions that are bad or negative at the beginning of it, but once they realize that once that becomes reality to them, once they have been exposed to, hey, did you realize that this is probably why this is getting 1 million views when she's riding a broomstick or whatever? When they realize that and then they double down or do more of it, it means that they saw the boost in engagement and they said, they didn't even care to ask why the boost in engagement was there. And then they double down on it because it grows their platform, grows, they make more money and more money. Money is the driver for all of this. They know their kid could be in danger and they don't care.
Money's not always necessarily the driver. It's the dopamine hits. It's the going viral, even going viral off the back of your child, getting those likes, getting those views. It's addictive. And then you try to constantly one up yourself after that. And I think there's a cat at the door. So yeah, it's not always money that's the deciding factor. Obviously, it is a big thing to consider, especially when you're living this certain lifestyle and then the views start to dwindle because something like this happens and you have to take your kid offline and you can no longer exploit them in horrific ways for grown predatory men to consume, then they start getting a little bit desperate and spiral a little bit. But
to your point, man, and I think that one of the things that has to be said, or either I knew what I was doing and I was okay with it, or I didn't realize and I wasn't knowledgeable of it. And I feel like neither of those answers are acceptable because you're gambling with my daughter if you weren't knowledgeable. So either you have to acknowledge that you were doing something wrong, or you weren't knowledgeable, but now you're gambling with a 10-year-old child. And I feel like neither of those are acceptable. So I feel like the best answer would have been to remove her from the internet entirely.
No, exactly. I think you're exactly right. And I think you hit on the point perfectly. I think as much as I hate what these people do to their children, I also don't think that any of them started out being like, hey, I'm going to put my kid in front of a parasocial relationship, or I definitely can't wait till the predators come and watch my child. They don't think that. I don't think anybody starts that way. I don't think that they're doing it on purpose, but I think once they become educated and what they do with that information afterwards is what really matters. And it really tells us what kind of parent they are. You're a dad who protects your kid. Like you're going to do everything to protect your kid. Whereas on the other way, social media makes it so that they can have plausible deniability or justification. Like, well, I don't know who's what. And it could be, it could not be. Like, it's not such in your face danger. And so they get away with it by saying, well, I don't know.
Well, except for the fact that there's comments and definitely DMs and stuff. Like they know, that's the thing. And I know they kind of touched on it. Once you're educated, I can't believe that these influencers and any family vlogger who exploits their children, they have DMs that are disgusting or comments that are predatory and disgusting. And I can't believe that you would see that and still continue to post your kids online. And a lot of people try to justify it of like, well, why should I have to change for them? Because it's your children and it's your job to protect your children. Period, point blank.
I think one thing too, man, is I've seen some people say that, oh, you posted her on the internet and you shared things on the internet. If I would say that one thing I've learned, man, is when I first started, I was kind of doing what I knew and what I seen that was working as far as let's do the family thing or let's do this. And I got that weird feeling, man, that it wasn't enjoyable for Mila. Like there was a time where I filmed a video of us getting ready for school in the morning. She was okay with it, but she wasn't excited to do it. You know what I mean? So then I kind of steered away from that. I kind of learned like that's not really what we want to do. And then we started the whole streaming the video games thing. She had a lot of fun doing that, man. She enjoyed it. We always played Roblox with people. And this is just from my experience and the reasons that I chose to share her on the internet. Some people might still say I'm wrong for it. I didn't know. I thought this was, you know what I mean? I thought this was acceptable. Was whenever we would stream video games, it was from here up. She couldn't read any of the chats that were going through the video games because it was all on my monitor. And then I could always I could moderate what was happening in the Roblox game because I was present playing.
But since you've learned the dangers, you don't do it. Like you said, hey, look, if I'm going to ask Abby to not do this, you also yourself said, hey, I'm willing to obviously not do this as well.
To me, it was one of those things, man. If there's any gamble or I'm learning that there could be potential mental health disadvantages, physical harm, you know what I mean, done by some crazy person online, it's easy for me to walk away from it, man, and say, let's not gamble, let's not do anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just...
No, exactly. Again, when you learn about what it is, it's what you do with it after. But you struck on something that was really important that we need to go back to, is that when you were doing these videos with her, because she's conditioned to do these things, she's working and you know that. But you caught on something that she didn't look like she was enjoying it.
Yeah. So I'm going to pause here because I was thinking that too. And I also think that there's a huge difference between kids playing video games and streaming that kind of content or making those kind of videos and a lifestyle vlog. Right? You can argue that neither is okay, that kids should not be online at all, yada, yada, yada. But when they're on video games, the focus is on the video game. It's on whatever quest or whatever mission or whatever challenge you're trying to do. It's not on the child and their personal life and their day routine, them going to school, their habits, their quirks, their bedroom, stuff like that. The content is less personal in a sense, if that makes sense. But yeah, she's not enjoying the day in the life, but she was enjoying the gaming stuff, which is okay.
And so many influencers, including Abby, have said, they love doing it, and it's like they justify it by saying the kids love it. But I don't believe it, because I have children and I know what kids are like, and their interests change like the wind. They might like something for a while, then they want something different. But when you're forcing your kid to work, there's just no way they're like, I can't wait to work. There's no way kids aren't like that. That's just not the way. And so when you said that, it's really important.
So that was another thing, man, that I've tried to explain to Abby. Sometimes it falls on deaf ears, unfortunately. I have to work with my lawyers to get a response. I have to put something in front of the judge to get a response, which in return is costing me money. I would rather figure it out as co-parents, you know what I mean? Or be able to at least come to an agreement.
That's so pathetic. She's such a pathetic person for forcing him to go through the court system to like discuss little things like that. Like this
agreement, or at least get a response sometimes, you know what I mean? Is not that she doesn't enjoy it or not that any of that. It's just I bartend for a living, man. That's my typical, I don't want to say 9 to 5, but that's what I clock in doing. I don't take my daughter to bartend every day. So why should you have to take the child to film every day? And I feel like as soon as you have to retake a scene or retake a clip or anything, that's when we're doing work now. You know what I mean? If you were just setting it up and she walked through the camera, or it's just, to your point, and it is a little bit of work. It is having to retake a video. It is having to redo a voiceover, and it's just not
with a smile on your face.
Yeah, with a smile.
And you hear so many influencers. That's a good point, because you hear so many influencers talk about how hard this job is and how time consuming it is. And it's I hate the complaint, because it's actually the easiest way to make money in the world. But you do hear them all say how tiring it is, how mental health draining it is, and they're right about it. But then they don't click that they're forcing a child to do that, who is not even close to the mental capacity of an adult, doesn't understand the outcome, doesn't see the privacy concerns. But like you being a dad in this industry, have a child who's got over 1 million followers in tandem with the mother. When you see a video, I don't know if you saw the video of there's a guy who went to this girl's house. She had 60,000 followers on TikTok. He went to her house and was like, we're going on a date, we're gonna get married. And he like shows up at the house, like, and he's crazy in his head. And I gotta tell you, there's hundreds of thousands of dudes out there like this who think that they're having a relationship. Like, they're doing it on Roblox. They're doing it like without the parents there. They're making relationships with children, and they're showing up at houses and stuff. This is a reality that exists. How does that make you feel that your daughter could potentially have literally thousands of men who are like this following her?
I would never be okay with it. Obviously I would defend my daughter every way possible. You know what I mean? But it does make me feel uncomfortable. It is stressful. You know what I mean? It's kind of just like, I wish that we could totally remove her from the internet. And when you said mental health, man, it made me think of an example where there was a recent video that was posted. She speaks about a way that my daughter potentially spoke to her in a bad way. I wasn't in the home. I don't live with Abby, so unfortunately I wasn't there for it. I got little update on it other than social media, which is another tough thing, man. Sometimes you catch news of your daughter's life that you didn't know through social media.
That's crazy.
And I just wish I would have known about it first before the world.
Well, yeah, especially because like the co-parenting is literally non-existent. The only way that they communicate is through lawyers, through the court, through the judge, through thousands of dollars. So that's really weird and messed up.
When that video was posted, and this is not speaking bad on Abby, these are strictly my thoughts, there's comments on that video that say that child needs to be with a belt. There's comments on that video where it says that child's a no good spoiled brat. So to me, why should my daughter be exposed to essentially online bullying, to where she's reading these mean, nasty, hateful things about her that aren't true? You know what I mean? My daughter, to me, is very respectful. She's very well spoken. We never hear bad things at school. But now not only is my daughter reading these things, the general public and her peers are reading these things.
And it's about something that the mother specifically is going through, and the daughter's just being the daughter. Like, I have kids, I get it. Sometimes they say things are insensitive and they don't realize it, or they think they're joking, you're not picking it up. But the fact that she's willing to share those private moments like that is an atrocious example of how this all went. And
what these parents are doing and allowing is they're allowing the public to shape the way they perceive their children. So you have the spoiled one, you have the bratty one, you have the confident one, you have the shy one, you have the stubborn one. And that might not be how the kids actually are in real life. Like Bobbi just said, she's not like that with me, period. And you have people who are perceiving her as such because that's how her mother speaks about her online. That's going to affect them in the future, by the way. These perceptions of the tidbits that people get fed online. It's going to affect them in the long run.
If you give me another example of over the time, kind of what you were clocking in, you're like, okay, that's not good. This isn't good. Some things that really, really hit hard for you that you decided to fight.
So another reason, and I'm actively currently, man, while we're going through the time of filming this, I'm working with my lawyers to have my daughter once again totally removed from the internet. My daughter knows that I fought to get her removed from the internet, which made me a bad guy for a little bit. And I had to explain to her, Mila, this is unsafe. There's people that are building relationships with you that you have no idea who they are. Another example would be whenever a picture of my daughter's posted and there's emojis that cover her face. For starters, why did you need to show her and cover her face? That's a constant reminder now to my daughter every time she sees one of those photos that my dad did this to me. My dad made it so I can't be on the internet. So every time you cover that little girl's face, it's like driving a wedge into our relationship again.
Whoa, yeah, that's crazy, because that's almost an alienation thing if you think about it, that she doesn't correct the daughter's thinking, and hey, your dad's just trying to protect you is what she should be saying. Hey, your dad's concerned that this happens, and just all that means too that she's not having the conversations that you are having with your daughter about the dangers of the internet, and she doesn't want to because she doesn't want to scare her, because she wants to use her in content. I mean, it took away almost all of her views when you fought and got her off the internet, and that takes away almost all of her money. And so now she has to figure out how to fight that either covertly or through parental alienation, which I'm not saying she's doing. I'm just saying it sounds like she doesn't have the same conversations about internet safety like you are, and you're the bad guy. But in the end, I think when she gets older, hopefully sooner than later, she starts realizing, waking up, being like, thanks for protecting me, Dad. I hope that's what happens later, because I tell my daughter this too. She's not allowed on social media. She's just turned 13 today, actually. I always tell her this. I say, if your friends ask why you're not on social media, tell them it's because your parents love you. And I mean to say that. Like, just tell them that it's because my dad loves me so much and wants to protect me. And I know they might think it's, oh, that's rude. I want you to be rude about it, because those parents of other children who give their kids unfettered access to the internet, you're asking for trouble. And then when you put them on the internet as a famous person, that's double toilet trouble. That's what you're looking for there. Just tell her, hey, I do this because I love you. I know it sounds funny and weird right now, but you'll get it when you're older, and she will.
I sure hope so, man. And I think being consistent and just constantly reminding my daughter is probably the best thing I could do right now, man. But to even try to foster the creativity, I've tried to push her towards making faceless content on like record your gameplay on Roblox. I'll teach you how to use CapCut. I'll teach you how to use some editing stuff, just so she could still kind of foster that whole, you know what I mean? And I think that was one way that I tried to lighten the blow, if that was a fair way to put it.
Okay, so walk me through the fight. When the fight started legally, you were fighting for custody already, and she probably thinks that you just did it out of spite. But tell me how that fight went down and where it landed last time, and now you're refighting again for it.
So long story short, man, the whole thing started over me being paid child support. I think that nobody wants to pay money every month, I guess. So once I filed for child support, I was then hit with custody paperwork. The custody paperwork requested, not this is not what she got, anything like that. The custody paperwork requested that she would have primary care of the child. If you carry primary custody, you usually don't have to pay support.
Also, I think it's important and worth noting that if Abby were to have gotten primary custody, it's likely that she would be able to have full control of posting Mila online and take away a lot of his rights to take Mila offline to protect her and stuff like that. So maybe money was a huge part of the factor, but I definitely think controlling the social media presence also would play a big factor in the primary custody. It's just really sus timing.
I think that the lawyers kind of talked it out and they explained, look, man, you guys are both fit parents. The child isn't technically in danger with either of you. So I think that you guys should have shared custody.
So she was paying you child support, which is proper. She makes the most money. That's just the way it works. And usually it's the guy who has to pay, but then she just didn't want to pay you money. So she just fought, which is a weird reason to fight for your kid.
Now I can't say that because I don't know if that was true, but I can only tell you the order that things happened. And I can tell you what paperwork I received after certain things happened. So child support was granted, child support was filed. And then as soon as child support paperwork was received, I received paperwork saying that she wanted primary custody. Her reasons behind it might be different. I can't tell.
The timing is, the optics and timing are sus. And I know everybody make up your own mind about that, but again, we've seen other custody, like Kay and Tay, the same type of thing. Just people will do anything to not pay, even though you're taking care of this child that you share together. It's not like you're spending it on garbage. This is to take care of your shared child. Why are they so upset about that?
To me, it's the child should be able to have the same standard of living on both sides. And I think that the income, man, not that I'm struggling or my lights are getting cut off, but the income is, she does very, very well for herself.
We know.
Okay, before we move on, I don't know how I feel about that whole conversation. The child's lifestyle should be different or should be the same for both parents, yes. And I think that's your responsibility as the parent to provide that kind of lifestyle. That being said, parents who just refuse to pay child support or anything, it's infuriating. It's really, really frustrating because there's this mentality behind it of the money's not going to go towards the kid and this and that, and I want to pay direct, all this stuff. And it's like, no, taking care of a child means paying the electricity, paying the groceries, paying the bills. That's taking care of a child, getting them the clothes they need for school or the haircut or whatever the case may be. So I don't necessarily agree with what he said there, that the kid should have the same standard of living on both sides. Like, that's your responsibility. However, if you have primary care of a child, the other parent should 1000% be paying and supporting that child in that home, especially if you're a part-time parent. Like, that's wild to me.
Now she's trying to get the kid back into the content, and tell me about how that process has gone down. Like, you try to conversate with her and you're telling she's just ghosting you.
So I can tell you, man, that I've reached out to her probably, I'm going to say a good 4 or 5 times over the last 6 months to not have my daughter on the internet. And I never get a response. The only response that I get is, you can call the lawyers about it. But we can talk about other things. And it's just that's one thing that she won't even begin to have a conversation about.
Oh my God.
Which is unfortunate.
That shows you where her priorities lie. Exploiting her daughter on the internet is the most important thing to her, because that's where she gets the views.
Her lawyers are probably like, don't say anything that can be used. Don't, just completely ignore it and then she's forcing you to spend money, which needs to go towards you and your family and your daughter and giving them a life. And you now need to spend money on lawyers to get just to protect her. I think the world needs to hear that. And again, it's not disparagement against Abby. That's just like, hey, you as a dad, you have to spend all this money now just to protect your daughter when she's not seeing it. And that's just not cool. It's just not cool, man. It just really isn't. We have all woken up. There are laws being made. Lawmakers all over the US and all over Canada and all over the world are making laws against this. It's not a hidden secret that doing this to children is wrong. And so she sees that and she chooses to ignore it. And that says everything you need to know about that.
So as far as the child's image online goes, man, was what we didn't come to an agreement on was the child being on the internet and then my daughter going to therapy. Mother is requesting that the child go to therapy. I don't see a need for the therapy. This is just my personal beliefs. I've never heard a viable reason as to why. I've actually heard no reasons as to why the child needs therapy.
Because her mom is a drug addict and it abandoned her for the first couple years of her life and then has exploited her on the internet and completely compromised her sense of self. Okay, there's reasons why therapy would be beneficial for her. And even just being in a split parent household, the way she talks to her mom versus the way she talks to her dad, that toxicity in co-parenting that's not good. That's not healthy for a child. She knows her parents hate each other. That's not fostering the development of good relationships or teaching her good, solid, stable relationships either, when it comes to like the two most important people in her life. Now, I think Bobby's dating again and he is in a solid, stable relationship. So we have that dynamic. But it's also very interesting that Abby would be pushing her towards therapy. I wonder why.
She hasn't mentioned she wanted one. She said some of her friends in school have one. She knows what it is. She understands what it's about. She's not interested. So I just feel that my job as a parent is to advocate and support my daughter's choices. I've never spoke bad about therapy. I've never tried to talk her out of it. I could honestly care less whether she has one or not. So I didn't agree on the therapy. And then the other thing was that mother didn't fight to keep the child online.
See, it's fine to not agree, but did he just not agree, or did he say, no, you're not sending my kid to therapy? Because I don't know. That's weird. Okay.
The lawyers wrote up an order of motion to where the child's image won't be posted online anymore and that the child should be able to have therapy. So I, in turn, agreed to the therapy if you agreed to stop putting the child on the internet, because I believe that putting the child on the internet could be harmless in the future. I don't think that there's enough that happened that it already harmed her, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's not therapy for the social media harm. It's therapy for the trauma of being born. At least she has a supportive dad, but yeah.
I have to revisit or pay these lawyers to go back in front of this judge to fight, because whenever you look at the description of a person's image, it's not just their eyes, ears, and mouth, which essentially, this is from my beliefs, that mother is showing everything other than her eyes, ears, and mouths. She's still doing voiceovers in the videos. She's still recording her from behind. She's still sharing her day-to-day life, and she's still sharing ways that she engages with the public or ways that she acts. You know what I mean? So
she found a loophole around because legal wording, as you know, it has to be like, it's not just vague. It's like, okay, well, she said that means that I can do all these things. I think your next fight has to be no mention. Like, stop talking about her. Like, and stop having her voice, stop having any of her image on there, even in the background.
And this is just a quick Google search, man. If you Google the definition of a person's image is the mental picture or public perception of an individual encompassing their appearance, actions, communication style, and overall presentation, which is formed in other people's minds.
Yeah, yeah.
So literally everything Abby is still doing, literally, because she's still posting all of these conversations. She's painting M in such a toxic, negative light. She's showing all these behaviors and talking about it and how her daughter's a savage and don't be a parent and like, oh my, okay.
They just stop posting her image, because I feel like that's what you agreed to. You know what I mean? And to me, it's just you covered her eyes, ears, and mouth. And to me, that's unacceptable. But
that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. I've never even thought of it that way, is that the image is all encompassing. It's voice, it's activities, it's actions, it's favorite things, it's what school do you go to, it's what are your favorite foods. It's like there's so much more to the image, and so many influencers will put an emoji and then they like pat themselves in the back, be like, I put an emoji on. Yeah, but we also know that your kid went to the doctor yesterday. We know your kid loves chicken nuggets. We know that your kid, eats this kind of ice cream and goes to this school and dances at this studio. We know all of that. I think you're right. I think that is one of the most important things you said so far to me, is that like dads who are fighting or parents who are fighting on the other side of this, who have influencer children, you've got to tell the judge, please, this is what likeness and image is. We need to protect this in all capacities. That's brilliant.
And I think
very smart.
To your point, man, and that's advice I would give anybody else that's fighting this good fight. But it's almost, I've explained to my lawyer, man, if this was going on and this was happening, I wouldn't have agreed to that. You know what I mean? Because Abby, we didn't go in front of the judge for this to be ordered. So whenever that order was created, it was written up by my lawyer and it was presented to their lawyer to not have Milo on the internet anymore. And then they added in the therapy thing. So I don't think therapy can hurt a child. I don't think it's terrible for a child, but I just don't think that my daughter's in need of it. So
why do you think they push so hard for that, though? That seems weird to me.
Why Abby is pushing for it, I couldn't necessarily tell you. I've asked her a couple times and she always tells me she's not comfortable talking to me about it.
That is so fucked up. It's his kid. He has a right to know why you think his daughter needs therapy. That makes no sense. That is so like toxic and controlling and just that makes no sense. Oh my God, I would be so pissed if my husband tried tried that. Like, we'd never be in that situation, but like, oh my God, I would lose my shit.
Daughter's father about this when she does videos where you guys are such great co-parents. Like, that's another thing that's pissed me off. And again, I'm not trying to disparage her. I know we say we're going to do that, but that's what's bothering me about this, is that she'll say one thing on the internet to pretend something's all great where you don't get a chance to use your voice. And again, she's throwing you under the bus as much as she's praised you too. You don't have the same platform as her. It's the disparagement of power is palpable in this situation. So when she says, oh, it's all good, and she does make you put you in a good light in those positions, but at the same time, she can say whatever she wants and has millions of people that will listen to her, whereas you don't, and that's not fair. But the fact that she's not willing to share with you the reason why you two who share a daughter wants to put her in therapy, it seems sus, because it seems like there's ulterior motives that are happening right there. That's what's like,
so
she's prepping to do something. That's what it sounds like.
I have my personal beliefs that there might be an ulterior motive, but I can't say anything that's untrue about Abby. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know if there is, but I personally believe that there is.
Well, there's some kind of motive, obviously, but it makes that, unless it is just a complete and total display of power. It's a total power trip, and they threw that in there because they knew he didn't want, I don't know why the heck she wouldn't share, I don't know.
But just to be clear, man, the judge seen that order that was written up where the child should have therapy and dad doesn't want the child's image posted. And Abby agreed to that, and I agreed to it. And then that order that was typed up, got set in front of the judge. The judge read the order without either of us being in the courtroom. I don't believe the lawyers were there. I think they sent it over to the judge's office or chambers, whatever it is. And the judge signed off on it. So there is a court order that the child is not to be posted, but it wasn't
It's
like
legally
Abby,
binding. You made a legally binding agreement that's signed by a judge. That's just as good as a court order. That's the same thing.
Yes.
100%.
So the judge knows it. It is a court order. It is a thing that we're binded to, that we both agreed to. And I'm actively still fighting to have my daughter totally removed from the internet.
But now you're just like learning the loopholes that she's using. Now you have to cover the loopholes, and that's where it gets expensive and legal. And she's like, well, God, I'm not showing her. Look, there's an emoji.
That is such a piece of shit thing to do. Sorry. That is such a toxic, to find the loopholes and then just completely continue to bleed this guy dry. Like, that's so toxic.
That's not her. And now you're like, okay, well, no, the image is this, and the other thing. And then the other image is also you disparaging her on the internet and allowing comments that are super negative and people saying that she needs to be beat. And obviously you're saving all those receipts, which is really important. I think if you haven't, I mean, they're all over Reddit. But those comments and those types of things are unacceptable. And the fact that she doesn't actively block, she just turned off the comments, what she should do, but she doesn't. She actively allows it because engagement brings her money, and negative and positive engagement brings her money. And the fact that she's not out there, it's a person, the fact that she thinks she's a good mom, and I'm not trying to disparage her. Let's say she is. If you're a good mom, someone says you need to beat your kid with a belt or whatever, the first thing I would do is take that comment and make a video about it. Like, excuse me? How dare you say something like that about my kid? But nothing like that has ever happened. It's always, it's weird.
She's never standing up for her kid. She's just trash talking her, but it's her bestie. But like, oh, it's good God.
This was the text that I sent. It says, Abby, I just seen that video you posted where Mila spoke to you in a bad way. Please take that video down. She does not need to look at your channel and be called a brat, be told she should get backhanded. Being parented through comments on social media is crazy. I said, I'm not being controlling, but please leave that damn kid out of your videos. And I said, I feel like with her being 10 and reading that stuff at a young age, we don't know how that could affect her mentally. I'm not arguing with you, at least see where I'm coming from.
Did she delete it?
I didn't get a response.
Of course, but did she?
No, the video's there and it's still rocking, man.
Jeez. So then going forward, let's talk to somebody like I know there's a few dads out there that I've spoken to just like you, okay? I'm not gonna say who they are because most of them don't want me to tell them who they are, but what's your advice to those dads out there fighting this battle? Because to be honest with you, it's in the dozens. There are men out there who are not in the marriages anymore where the mother is fighting to keep the kid on the channel when the dad is finally woken up post-divorce or post-breakup and he's like, okay, this is, and even if it is to get back at her for whatever, I don't care. Whatever it takes to get the kid off the internet, I don't give a shit what your motives are. I just want the kids off the internet. So what's your advice to these guys? How far you've come? What could you tell them?
Man, I think the relationship you have with the co-parent hold a lot of weight on how much you can achieve before going to court. And I think the main thing is being completely transparent with the child, because you don't know, not saying that Abby or another mom would badmouth a child or badmouth the other parent to a child, but you don't know how the child is going to process what the other parent is saying, if that makes sense. I don't know. I just think being transparent with the kid is a big thing. One thing that I just thought of from you saying that I had no idea of was you have a healthy size platform. I'm grateful for you sharing with me, giving me a voice, is finding a way to put all of the dads in touch, man. So we can all share with each other. Like, hey man, this worked for me. Or, hey man, I talked to my lawyer. He said this, you know what I'm saying? And it's now you're getting
that's a great idea.
Great advice from other people that you can link together.
I don't think a lot of these dads understand the power that they do have. What you said there is really important. You don't necessarily have to get in front of a judge or pay a lawyer, but you can get in front of a mediator, create agreements.
Oh, for sure.
And they, you know that these moms who are out there doing this to each other, they don't want a public fight about this because they know that they're wrong. They know that they're going to be proven wrong. And a dad out there fighting for his kid publicly, that is what a dad is supposed to do. Like men in a daughter's life, you are her protector, right? The mom is also, but the dad is, that's like your main role. The mom is the nurturer and, you know, the example, but the dad is the protector, the fighter. And when dads do that, I think it really shows their kids something. You're teaching your daughter that I fight for the thing that's right, which is you. Again, and maybe she's a little bit upset that she's not getting all those things, but at the same time, you can teach her, I agree with you, teach her to make content that doesn't require to have her voice or face on the internet. She still gets to be creative. No problem. It's just about safety. And in the end, I think she will thank you so much if you can get her off the internet when she's old enough to realize that all these other kids who didn't get that same thing or the dad didn't fight the same way, that they have to live the reality and the nightmare of having their entire lives put on the internet for everybody to see as they get older. Because, you know, we were teenagers once. Thank God I didn't film every stupid thing I did when I was young, because holy, we would be in a
Oh man, that'd be tough.
right?
That'd be tough.
We got lucky. Our children aren't getting as lucky, and privacy is going to be a multi hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollar industry by the time your kid and my kid are old enough to get out there and be adults. They're going to have to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to private themselves. They're going to have to sue social media companies to get them off, and it's all going to happen. It's just a matter of time. One thing that we know, and this cannot be argued, that this is wrong. Nothing about this is right. You cannot. I've never yet once heard an argument in my 4.5 years on this platform talking about this, where anybody has ever given me an explanation where it's like, this is why we do it and this is right. Nobody can do it, because kids cannot give informed consent in the end. And dads who fight like you deserve a platform and a voice and accolades for fighting for your kid. And in the end, I think she'll thank you.
Well, I'm grateful for you, man. Thank you for giving me the voice. Thank you for taking the time. You know what I mean? It's always greatly appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, thank you for telling the truth. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. I thought you might come on here and be like, yo, this girl. And you came on here, you're a straight shooter, and I love that you just talked about your experience, and that's one of the most important things. It's going to be very important, very interesting to see how she responds to this, because I think you'll see I think people are seeing the difference now that you've kind of getting out there and giving your story, the difference between the two. But thank you for fighting for your kid and for being a good dad. I think that's really, really important. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, my man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. Hopefully we can talk some more.
All right. That's that. That was the interview. Wow. A lot to digest. So this is one of the things that she posted right after being called out. And this is classic Abby. It is this vague, ridiculous word salad. Those who know me in real life, pretty sure Bobbi knows you in real life pretty well too, just throwing it out there, knows that I've taken every single bullet publicly for the sake of my kid, and I will continue to do so. This is not about my journey as a creator who learned a lot after an era of mother-daughter content. The ability to have that conversation in a conductive, educational way has been temporarily stripped from me and used as ammo amidst something bigger. This is retaliation and another warning shot, and I'm still not scared. The most ridiculous thing ever. What bullets have you taken? You were forced to take your kid offline. That's not taking a bullet. You should have done that yourself, and that would be taking the bullet. But no, you were forced to do so. So, okay. Don't know what your journey of the mom and daughter influencer has to do with anything. And the ability to have that conversation in a conductive, educational way has been temporarily she's the one who stripped it. Bobbi said he tries to talk about it. He tries to bring it up in a respectful way and gets shot down and says, go through the lawyer. That's the one thing that they cannot talk about unless it's through a lawyer or the lawyer's involved. It's absolutely ridiculous. Imagine having an internet era at 10 years old. That's fucking gross. Newsflash. All your so-called problems go away when you decide to actually take your young child off the internet. Abs is one of those freaks that creates problems so she can play victim and or hero. Whoa, shots fired. She's got to keep up this BS. Just you wait, because it's better than admitting she's a POS who exploits her daughter to fuel her shopping and filler addiction. Bobbi was so respectful. I was actually shocked at how well-spoken and calm he was. Not saying he's some hero, but he didn't bash his BM, even though she had publicly dragged him through the mud many times. The constant need to play victim is so tiresome. Agreed. Professional victim. And then she replies with, and then we get financially distorted. You mean extorted? Just saying. And I don't feel like he's financially extorting you, but I think that he feels it right to ask for you to pay to support your child, who he had primary custody over for 10 years. I kind of agree with him there. Big yikes. That's the bulk of what I wanted to see and discuss and look at today. Abby is still 100% exploiting her child, and the fact that she found the tiny little loopholes that she can sneak through in order to get away with doing what she's doing, like censoring her face, but still posting some pretty atrocious things. It's not okay. It is working around a loophole system, draining someone who isn't as financially stable as her and playing the victim in all of it. It's a really weird dichotomy, I guess you could say. The fact that people are shaping M's personality before she even gets a chance to grow up a little bit, and that Abby is still full-blown exploiting her. Just because she's not showing her face anymore doesn't mean that the exploitation isn't there. That was a really good interview, and I'm glad they kept it to the point, facts, Bobbi sharing his side of the story. And again, he admits he's made mistakes. He's not a perfect person. It's not this you versus me type battle that he wants to play, but he doesn't have a platform, and Abby does, and consistently trashes him. She tries to post these videos of, look how great we're co-parenting, but then you hear all this that's going on the back end. No, you're not great at co-parenting. Obviously. You can't even have a conversation together. And then tries to play the victim, saying that her ability to have a conversation has been stripped. No. And the problem is that she has such a large, solid following that they're going to believe her. And they're going to think that Bobbi came on and was just telling a bunch of lies. When you look back through, when you look at patterns of behavior over time, it's so blatantly obvious that she's the one who's in the wrong. He didn't come on to trash her. He didn't come on to tear down her platform. He came on to protect his daughter. Absolutely wild that she's chosen this path. I mean, not surprising, still wild nonetheless. Please head over to the Abbey Fickley snark page. They're really good at keeping up to date with her shenanigans, and they're the ones clocking these toxic negative behaviors on a daily basis. You can go back through everything over time and just see all the lies add up, and it's not pleasant. And it sucks because she had a good thing going. A lot of people really related to Abby with her sober content, with her sober single mom content. And then when she started making the focus solely on Mila, everything changed. And her original supporters started to fall off because they're like, this isn't what I came here for. And of course, content changes over time. That's a thing. And it's okay that content changes over time. But it sucks when it's such a drastic change that you alienate your original audience. Quickly before we leave, another thing that really bothers me with Abby is that she very obviously, how can I say this? It's like she posts content and makes content for children with this trying to fit in with the younger crowd vibe, but her language is vulgar in her shorts. She swears every other word. And again, it's not like, don't swear, I swear, whatever. It's not that. It's the fact that she seems to be making content for children, but it's not for children. So then you're like, okay, maybe it's content for the moms, but then she has this weird cadence. I don't know what she's trying to do with her content, but she is spiraling and flailing and trying to literally throw anything at the wall and hoping that something sticks, but nothing is going to hit like exploiting her daughter did. It just won't. That is all I have for you guys for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know your thoughts down below, please, because this was really valuable insight, and I appreciate how well-spoken Bobbi was and how he just didn't trash her. He just came on to share his side of the story, and I think that is so important in the grand scheme of things, to look at the stark difference between how he spoke and what he said and how Abby speaks and what she says, and the fact that she's constantly posting disparaging posts against him. And even though it's vague, you know who she's talking about. There's no guessing. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe before heading out. And I hope you guys are having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.